With us about 9 minutes away from 8 o'clock. This is a big story in the world of aviation, or it certainly could become a much bigger story. There's concern now that this new cell phone technology, C-band 5G service, could cause a crisis at airports in the US. Once it's deployed, the FAA, it's the Federal Aviation Administration, says the service has the potential to cause interference with some instruments on aircraft. So the company providing the 5G service has agreed to create what they're calling buffer zones around 50 US airports to reduce the risk. Now, the reason I'm bringing Linden Birns into this, who's the MD of Plain Talking, is to find out just how serious this is. Morning to you, Linden. Over there, it seems very serious, but the American authorities are accused of being overly cautious, but I suppose it could be a problem. We know there's an issue with cell phone connectivity and aircraft, but how bad is this? Good morning.
Hi, morning, Gareth, and hi to all the viewers. So this is a very particular issue, and it relates to the way in which 5G is going to be rolled out, or plans to be rolled out in America. 5G in itself is not a dangerous thing, and in many other countries around the world, they've managed to integrate 5G and aviation together, and they coexist. The problem we have in America is that the frequencies that the government has allocated to the telecoms operators are very close to those that are used by radio altimeters on aeroplanes. And a radio altimeter is a crucial piece of kit. It helps the aircraft, it determines very precisely how high above terrain an aircraft is flying, and it feeds information to a bunch of other systems on an aircraft, including the systems that are used for auto landings and for flight in bad weather, in poor visibility, and also detects hazardous conditions like wind shear, which can be deadly. And the other problem in America is that they've allowed these 5G telecom operators to use antenna towers with a much higher, 2.5 times higher power output than what you've got in places like France or in other parts of Europe or in South Korea, where they have rolled out 5G and it works quite fine with aviation.
So it's a fairly important problem that they have to address, because everything you've just explained is what keeps us in the air and keeps us safe. So just help me understand the kind of interference it could cause. So if I'm standing at one of these 50 US airports and I decide to post something to Twitter, I could accidentally tell an aircraft that it's 100 meters from the ground as opposed to 1 kilometer from the ground. I mean, is that the kind of issue we could see at an extreme case?
We're not 100% sure exactly how much one individual's phone might have an impact. The issue are the towers, these antennas, and the potential for bleed or interference across the frequencies. So that, the best solution is to reallocate frequencies and use ones that are slightly further away, and to angle the antennas so that they tilt downwards and reduce the power output to about 1/3 of what they currently want to do. They're talking, and the Federal Airworthiness Administration, as well as the telecoms guys, have agreed to set up buffer zones. But the buffers that they're looking at in America only protect aircraft over the last 20 seconds of a flight. In many other countries, it's the last couple of minutes, which gives a greater degree of security and safety, especially when you think we're talking here primarily about aircraft in that critical final phase of landing. And by the way, it doesn't just affect commercial aircraft. This also affects emergency heliports at hospitals, for example. Helicopters also require, use similar technology. And so there are a lot of notices that have been published by the FAA affecting hundreds of hospital heliports as well as commercial airports. The other thing about these buffer zones is that they're talking about putting them around an airport. A lot of the airports serve big metropolitan, densely populated areas, and obviously the 5G operators want to be able to serve as many people as they possibly can.
Yeah, it's a commercial element from them. Linden, sorry, I need to just ask you very briefly on this, just as I say goodbye to you. South Africa obviously going to learn from these lessons. We're not going to go anywhere near this technology anytime soon.
Gareth, we would hope, we are going to have this technology. I think it's going to roll out around the world. We would hope that we would learn from this and from our current impasse that we have from siloed approach to government. We've got a similar issue with the square kilometre array and the regulations that have been published that call for a complete radio ban right under the main route between Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Oh, that's fascinating. I didn't know that about the SKA. That's really, really interesting. Going to pick up on that. Thanks for letting us know about it. Linden Birns, MD of Plain Talking, joining us. So it could be an issue for us here in South Africa, Toombs, as we get closer and closer to this rollout of the technology here in South Africa.